Hello sports fans, welcome to Spear Sports Central. Today, we're going over my college football playoff national championship game prediction. So real quick, a couple of things before we get into the video. The first thing is my record from the semifinals was 2-0, and that brings my record on the season to 2-11-64. And then the second thing is I'll unfortunately not be having a live watch party for the national championship game because I got a job and I have to work on Monday night, but I hope you guys still enjoy the game, but unfortunately no stream. But we'll get into my prediction for the game, and we'll start off with how Miami and Indiana both got here. But starting off with Miami, as they're 13-2, and so far in the college ball playoff, they've beaten Texas A&M 10-3, they beat Ohio State 24-14 in the quarterfinals, and then in the semifinals, they beat Ole Miss 31-27 in the Fiesta Bowl. Then for Indiana, they're still undefeated as they're 15-0, and they've been dominant in the playoffs so far. As in the Rose Bowl, they destroyed Alabama winning 38-3, and last week in the semifinals, they destroyed Oregon winning 56-22 in the Peach Bowl. And for Indiana, they're also looking to become the first ever undefeated national champion in the 12-team playoff era, and they're also looking for their first national championship in football ever. And for Miami, they're looking for their first national title since 2001. But these are obviously two great teams, and I think this should be a pretty good matchup. Now, when you compare the two teams on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, it's pretty interesting. Because the offense for Indiana, they're great, as they're top 5 in the country, putting up 42.6 points per game, and they're also very balanced, as they have 242 passing yards per game and 218 rushing yards per game. And Fernando Mendoza has also somehow taken his game to an even higher level in the college ball playoff. As in the two playoff games, he has just 5 incompletions and 8 touchdown passes. But Mendoza and the Indiana offense, they get a really tough matchup as they face an elite Miami defense that is allowing just 14 points per game, and they're also great against the run, allowing just 86 rush yards per game. Now their pass defense isn't quite as good, but their pass defense is still pretty good, as they're allowing just 206 passing yards per game. And then on the other side, the offense for Miami, they're also good. They're scoring 31.6 points per game, but Indiana's defense also top 5 in the country, allowing just 11.1 points per game, which is second best. But looking a little bit deeper, here are 3 key things I really think can end up deciding this game. The first thing is, can Miami's defensive front wreak havoc? Because the Miami defense needs to play very well, because they do not have the offense to outscore Indiana. Now, the defense has been great so far in the playoff, and it's really started up front, and their defensive line has dominated. But they're going to really need that to happen once again, because if you just let Indiana run the football, you let Mendoza have time to throw, they're going to score 40-plus points. Now, the Miami defensive line, they did not play that well last week, and because of that, they allowed a season-high 27 points. But they're definitely need to play a lot better this week, because this Indiana offensive line is also really good. So Miami, if they want to have any chance in this game, they need to play well up front, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Moving on to the second key thing to watch, and that is, can Miami run the football? So the Miami offense, they're obviously built on the run behind their elite offensive line, but that is going to get tested in a major way this week. But the Miami offense, they've run the ball very effectively, especially in the college ball playoff. As in their 3 playoff games, they've run for at least 150 yards in all 3 of them, and during that 3-game stretch, they're averaging 173 rushing yards per game. But while they've run the ball very well, they face an elite Indiana run defense. As Indiana is second best in the country, allowing just 75 rush yards per game, and they're also allowing just 2.9 yards per attempt. And if Miami can't run the football, that's going to put a lot of pressure on Carson Beck. Now, he has been pretty solid so far in the playoffs, and he played really well last week, throwing for 268 yards and 3 total touchdowns. But he also faced an Indiana pass defense that is quite good, as they're allowing just 185 passing yards per game. So if you're Miami, you really need to establish the run. Now, I'm not saying you got to go run for 150 yards and 5 yards a carry, but just have something positive on the ground so you're not completely one-dimensional, because that is just not going to work against this defense. And the final key thing to watch in this game is the turnover battle. Now, that's big to watch in any game, but I definitely think it's even bigger in this game, because both these defenses force a lot of turnovers. Because Indiana, they're third best in the country with 29 turnovers forced, and Miami, they're also top 10, as they forced 25 turnovers on the season. And then both these offenses also do a pretty good job protecting the football. As for Indiana, they have just 8 giveaways on the season, while Miami has 14. But overall here, I would give the edge to Indiana, because on the season, they have a plus 21 turnover differential, while Miami's at plus 11. Plus, I just trust Fernando Mendoza to protect the football a lot more than I trust Carson Beck, although he has been pretty good as of late when it comes to protecting the football. But as far as my prediction for the game goes, this game can definitely go either way, and I would not be shocked to see Miami with the upset win, especially because the game's in Miami. But I'm going to take Indiana to get the win and win their first ever national championship. I just think they're the better overall team, they're too well-rounded, and they really don't have a weakness. Plus, I think they've also got the edge in all 3 key matchups I just talked about, and I just think they're the better overall team. But I've got Indiana getting the win here, and completing the perfect season going 16-0, and officially marking this as the greatest turnaround in sport history, from where they were 2 years ago to where they are now. But I have Indiana beating Miami in the national championship game and winning by a score of 27-16. But that's my prediction for the College Ball Playoff National Championship game. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, turn notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Who do you think will win the national championship and what will the score be? But thank you for watching. Be sure to check out the post tab on my channel, where you guys can vote on who you think will win the national title game. But thank you for watching. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.